Sim racing is a difficult hobby. Being able to race like a pro isn't something that happens overnight. You gotta train for it. You gotta put in the time and effort. And while you're racing, you gotta be able to focus on the race ahead. And that's what I wanted to talk about in today's video. Fully immersing yourself in a race. The benefits that it brings and why sometimes you just can't seem to get into it. A few weeks ago, I made a video about my best race ever. And I was talking about how I felt like I was driving on autopilot for the most part of that race. Some folks noted that this happens when you're prepared, you're focused, and the challenge ahead is sufficient to keep you captivated. Races where this happens are fantastic. You might even feel like Stallone in the movie Driven, like a total badass. But not every race can be like this, especially when real life stuff happens that keeps your mind out of a race. A lot of bad things in life can happen and they can occupy your mind to a terrible extent. Losing a loved one, having a bad day or week at school or maybe work, deadlines may be coming up, maybe your pet is sick, whatever it might be, these things can bother you often for a super chill, tremendously long time. You just can't get your mind off of them. And as this is a sim racing channel, I bet a lot of us try to find some escape in sim racing. And sometimes this works. Sometimes it doesn't and you go do something else. Other times you try to force yourself to race, to keep your mind in the race, and I think that's where some problems might arise. When I personally try to force myself to stick with a race or maybe hot lapping or practicing, while I'm worried about a bunch of other stuff, I often do bad out on track. I miss my braking points. Sometimes I ruin someone else's race because I can't focus. But that's not even the worst thing I'm doing. Because all these things are happening, I'm getting frustrated, throwing myself even deeper into the well of despair. And that may sound a little overdramatic, but you guys know how I roll. Forcing a distraction from what your mind is milling about is not always the best solution for all of us. And don't get me wrong, maybe this works for some people, but in my opinion, this is not the best way of handling things for the majority of us. So, what can you do in situations like this? Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't really know. I'm not a psychologist, but I do watch a fair amount of philosophical videos on YouTube, and by researching a ton of stuff. Some would call that research watching videos with a bag of chips, but I think research sounds a lot cooler. I think letting go of something that isn't helping is better than forcing it. When you're feeling down in the dumps and you have no desire to race, you shouldn't force yourself to do it. Even though you might have an important race coming up and you need to practice or something similar, you will frustrate yourself further. You won't have fun, maybe you'll even develop some bad habits out on track, and in the worst case scenario, you get so frustrated that you might hurt yourself or your gear or whatever in that frustration, and I don't want that to happen to any of us. So letting go, leaving something alone for a while isn't giving up. It isn't admitting defeat. Taking a step back is sometimes the perfect remedy for a bad situation. And that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have some thoughts on the subject, and I hope to see each and every one of you beautiful baby boys and beautiful baby girls in the next video. I love you guys. Mwah.